Hi everyone, I'm back with nasal voice. In China, many institutions representing justice are built on mass burial grounds, such as courts, military camps, police stations, and schools. It is said this helps suppress evil influences. Schools are included because students symbolize vibrant upward life force, and the story we have today starts at a kindergarten sit on one such burial grounds. Okay, if you like my stories and channel, welcome to like and subscribe. I will share with you true Chinese creepy stories every Saturday. Today, I want to share a terrifying incident that occurred while I was working in a kindergarten. The year I graduated as an early childhood teacher, I entered into an old kindergarten. The entire staff was composed of young women and an old principal, who was strict with us. In my eyes, she seemed like a typical materialist, well-educated and rational. However, what happened next would shake her worldview. About 6 months into the job, our kindergarten experienced a theft. The door to the finance office was forced open in the middle of the night. Fortunately, no valuables were stolen. But this incident led the management to require teachers to start working night shifts in pairs. It was a simple job, just spend the night at the kindergarten. At the time, I found it slightly amusing. Even if we encountered a criminal, were we, a group of young women, really expected to confront them bravely? However, a teacher who had been working here for 5 years had a very different reaction. From her accounts, I learned that teachers had been doing night shifts in the past, but many said they heard sounds of a high heel at night. Since then, the principal canceled the night shift. According to her, our kindergarten was an old burial ground. Before the construction, a psychic checked and said only institutions associated with education or law enforcement had the positive energy to subdue such location, so people decided to set a kindergarten on it. In our local area, there was a tradition that when constructing buildings, people need to set firecrackers to expel the evil if unearthed a coffin. So when building the kindergarten, firecrackers were heard non-stop, but it is just a hearsay. Maybe it had been exaggerated. The kindergarten is of 4 stories. The first 3 floors were occupied by classrooms, while the 4th floor remained unused. There was also a spacious practice room, but it was filled with sundries. Couldn't squeeze a rat in there. Moreover, all the rooms on this floor were locked. It just seemed like someone was trying to keep us away from this place. In the far west corner of the 4th floor, there was a former night duty room. The most horrifying experiences, according to the older teachers, had taken place there. It seemed that we humans never learn lessons. 4 years passed, and with the occurrence of the theft, the principal had already forgot the terror. Finally, night shift started again. Unluckily, I was in the first group. That night, we 3 young women were on duty. The duty room was relocated from the 4th floor to a small cabin next to the principal's office on the 2nd floor, right by the washroom. After school, we started preparations, moving in 2 double beds, a TV, a stack of comedies, and piles of snacks. By 5 p.m., when the sun had just set, we were done. After a quick dinner outside, we returned to find the school gatekeeper had locked up and gone home, leaving the premises to us. Oddly, not a single bulb in the kindergarten corridor worked, leaving sheer darkness. The echo of our footsteps was the only reply as 3 girls walked down the black corridor. The 2nd floor was not as dark, with dim street lamps outside casting some lights in, offering meager comfort. I looked downstairs. The expansive lawn had some seesaws and swings that now resembled distinct, creepy shadows, making one apprehensive. My sole sense of security then came from the duty room. I hurried the others to unlock the door, rushing in first and quickly turned on the switch. The orangey light instantly flooded the room and calmed my nerves. We darted into the toilet, then double-locked the door after returning to the room. We chatted while watching movies, giggling away as the tension gradually eased. Munching snacks with the TV on, drowsiness hit us by 10 p.m. I turned the volume down. Soon, all 3 of us drifted off. I'm not sure how long after, I jolted awake abruptly. Pitch blackness in the room. Someone had killed the lights, but the TV still played on. I touched my colleague on the right.
Her bed was empty. Could she have gone to the toilet? I nudged the one on my left. No response. Must be deep in sweet dreams. My lingering grudginess had me going right back to sleep. But suddenly, the creepy high heels clicking appeared. Maybe it was my mind playing tricks, but I kept feeling the sound circled right above me, in that fourth floor activity room. But it was crammed full of staff. How could anyone pace about there? The sound went on for maybe 3 minutes. I forced myself to sleep, pretended I heard nothing. But what followed scared me out of my wits. I didn't hear the steps come downstairs, yet suddenly the clicking sounded way closer, practically echoing from the second floor and approaching fast. That moment, I truly felt every pore on my body simultaneously broke into cold sweat. I shrank towards my colleague. She still remained asleep while I didn't dare to make a sound, not to mention wake her up. The heel finally reached right outside the door. I even held my breath. It paced back and forth outside several times and halted abruptly. What ensued was worse. The scraping sounds of fingernails on the door went off, as if something was trying to get in. At that point, my taut nerves felt stretched to the limits. Just as I felt dizzy, a sudden courage surged through me. I leapt straight out from the blanket, grabbed the nearby table to barricade the door, then stacked the office chair atop it. I had done in one smooth action, didn't know where my strength come from. Maybe hearing my racket, the scratching grew even more violent, as if the thing would smash through any second. I shoved my colleague hard, but she remained dead asleep, quite abnormal, while the other was still missing. At that time, I felt desperate, hid myself under the quilt, tears rolled down my cheeks. Shortly after, the scratching ceased and a deathly silence descended, as if the night itself had frozen. The high heel sound started again, clicking around from the east to west and from the west to east. Each sharp tap was like a nail pounding my near-shattered nerves before slowly ascending the stairs back to the activity room overhead. It disappeared abruptly there. Then nothing happened the rest of the night, but I could not sleep again till dawn broke.
The next day, my colleague said grudgingly that she had a severe sleep paralysis last night. In the fitful sleep, she heard high heels clicking and table dragging, but could not wake no matter how she struggled. As for another partner, she left after getting an urgent call that her child was burning with high fever, forcing her to catch a taxi home despite the late hour. She was sure brave.
Finally, I reported the incident to the principal later. She pondered a while, then closed the kindergarten early that very afternoon. The atheist principal burnt a large basin of Joss paper and offerings right in the yard, and our overnight duty practices cancelled again.
Maybe the ghost is a resident of the kindergarten and likes to go out for walks at night, and your night shift was disturbing her.
I grew up at my grandma's place since I was little. At that time, Grandma had lots of cats. I would play with the cats every day, even hugging them when I was sleeping. Grandma was busy with farm work, so every time she left me to the care of our neighbor Grandma. Neighbor Grandma also raised many cats. The most beautiful one was a black cat with fur as dark as silk and eyes like aquamarine. When free, I would spend time with this cat, and the cat seemed to understand me too, often lying by my bed gazing at me, blinking comfortably. But my mom were especially afraid of black cats, saying they were unlucky, even that a black cat wailing at night foretold someone was about to die and such. I never believed that stuff and still hung out with the black cat daily. I even wanted to carry it home, but neighbor Grandma said I must not take it from the house. If a black cat left the house, bad things would happen. Back then, I didn't understand, yet later something really occurred. That year I was 5, sleeping over at Grandma's place one night. Grandpa had emphysema, so his snoring at night was enormous, sounding more like howling. But I'm a heavy sleeper, it did not bother me at all. That night, as usual, Grandpa's snore ran out. But this time, the sound was exceptionally loud, eerily loud. Soon, more weird noises joined in, screams of agony interspersed with clamor coming from all directions. Then one cat started meowing, and all the cats began, sounding extremely miserable. Suddenly, I saw that black cat perching on the window. Its aquamarine eyes glowed red, blinking on and off while staring right at me. I immediately leapt out of bed, shouting loudly,
"Black cat! Grandma's black cat is here!"
But my shouts drew no response, while the bizarre sounds around grew louder instead. This went on for a few minutes until with an especially anguished cry, the black cat ran off. It was my first time hearing it meow, super creepy. When the black cat left, the soundings abruptly went silent. I felt someone shaking me forcefully while calling my name. Opening my eyes, I found myself standing at the doorway already. Grandma said I must have sleepwalked here while yelling about a black cat. I stared blankly and asked,
"Grandma, why was it so noisy? Did something happen?"
Grandma said no. I probably just hallucinated the sounds and proceeded to carry me back to bed. The next day at neighbor Grandma's, that black cat was gone. Neighbor Grandma said the doors and windows were locked fine last night, yet this morning the cat had vanished while her other cats remained. I even cried over this for several days afterwards. 3 days later, a fire broke out in the house behind ours. Clouds of thick smoke billowed from the building with half the sky glowing red, blinking on and off, just like the cat's eyes that night. It was total chaos at the scene, with adults wailing, children screaming, police sirens, and cat meowing, the exact same mix of sounds I heard that evening. Later, I learned the fire was started by the family's son. His parents were too harsh disciplining him, causing severe psychological damage. He had gotten up with a knife in the dead of night, hacked his mother to death and mutilated his dad before setting the fire and watching outside. Eventually, he was sentenced to death. His mother died. His father survived but was left crippled, with a slash across his neck left an enormous scar, while his burnt back was an awful sight. After this incident, I never saw that black cat again. Until today, I still don't know what his sudden appearance that night truly signified.
Well, I think maybe the cat has magic power, but it is more possible that the narrator has prophecy. Let me share something I witnessed in childhood. It is not about ghosts, but a kind of sorcery that exists in our beliefs.
I was born in western Hunan. In this primitive yet mystical land, generations of my ancestors have steadfastly believed in something called Shen. Supposedly with just a thought, you could kill others.
However, to learn this sorcery, you must hurt yourself first. If you use it for truly evil deeds, not only would you lose blessings and fortunes, calamity will befall your descendants too, ultimately wiping out your bloodline. Thus, over time, such sorcery gradually faded away here. I always assumed it was pure legend. If something like that really existed, you could freely murder without paying your life. Not until the sudden death of my great-grandfather proved it was true.
In the early 1980s, we were an agricultural production team. My great-grandfather had just turned 76 but remained hale and hearty. He ran his own oil pressing mill while farming several acres, living a sunrise to sunset life. Given his spirit and health, everyone expected he would easily live past 80. However, one incident changed the course of his life. Under the local soil, there were thick layers of coal, so the mining bureau started excavations, causing explosions to carve out the hillside occurred daily. The blast sites were quite near great-grandpa's fields. To avoid casualties, sirens would sound before each explosion as warning. The piercing wails could go on a long while. Hearing that, farmers had to flee several hundred meters away to shelter. The locals all knew this rule, but that day, an out-of-towner passing through to visit relatives happened to be at the hill's base, washing his feet in the brook. At the same time, the sirens rang. Seeing all the people running through him, he confused. However, he seemed in no rush to leave either, just leisurely continuing his feet washing. Great-grandpa ran by and yelled anxiously, seeing him there. "Hurry up and go! They're about to blast the mountain!" But the fellow didn't catch it clearly and ignored him. Great-grandpa grew really agitated, blurting, "Are you an idiot? Can't you hear the damn siren? You wanna die? The man heard all right and shot back. What's wrong with you? What's your business? Great-grandpa had awful temper, infuriated by the attitude. He stooped over, cursing while grabbing the guy's collar and smacking him hard several times. The man looked about to retaliate, but spotting back up around, he held himself, only leaving with a vicious glare and threat. Fine, remembering this, you'll get yours. Then nothing more happened that day. Great-grandpa gradually dismissed the quarrel from mind over time. Not long later, though, Great-grandpa was working in the fields when he suddenly convulsed, foaming at the mouth. By the time fellow villagers found and carried him home, he kept shuddering with garbled muttering. The family assumed it was a stroke and rushed him to the county hospital, but the hospital could find no diagnosis, so kept him for observation. During the hospital, Great-grandpa's mental state fluctuated. When lucid, he would cry out about swarms of red and white-robed, pointy-headed ghosts coming to claim his life. Otherwise, he lay unconscious, shaking constantly. However, 3 days of tests showed nothing. Then his family started suspecting the illness resulted from offending that man, who had cursed him through Shen in retaliation. So they invited Master Chen, reputedly skilled in such arts, for help. Master Chen affirmed, no doubt this is the effect of Shen. Anyone so afflicted will hallucinate legends of ghosts and devils coming to take their soul when spells strike. He will perish within 10 days if the curse is not lifted. The next days brought simultaneous hospitalization and treatment by Master Chen, but Great-grandpa's condition never improved. Master Chen lamented, "That man's power exceeds mine. You can try find the man and beg him for pardon, or find someone more powerful to lift the curse." Then the families desperately searched the man everywhere, but only got vague clues. In under half a month, Great-grandpa passed away. After that, the great-grandfather's brother became Master Chen's disciple, intending to learn Shen to protect the family from future harm. Later from his mouth, I learned that Master Chen's family indeed met the fabled bloodline extermination fate. He had 2 sons with his ex-wife, one a healthy boy dead before 10, the other born mentally handicapped. That son was not only retarded but a dwarf, looking forever childish even when he died of illness at the age of 30. So Master Chen had experienced the extreme sorrow because of this sorcery, leaving his later years utterly bleak. Still, the great-grandfather's brother said, Master Chen wasn't bad himself, but as human, we all have wicked urges. When powered by certain forces, acting on those urges can spur instant retribution. Thus, he discontinued his own training midway. After all, such acts amount to self-mutilation despite the power gained, best left well alone.
That's how human society goes. Karma spins its cycle as justice takes form. Doing good deeds multiplies fortune, but commit enough conscience-breaching sins and you reap what you sow. Okay, that's all for this episode. If you like it, please give me a like and comment and subscribe. Also, welcome to leave me what kind of creepy stories do you want, or what kind of creepy Chinese customs do you want to know. I'm always willing to help. Ciao!